live at 3. Let's go climb a tree. We're just going to come up with goofy rhyming things until I find something I like. I did live at 5 and live at 4. Let's look at the store, but now I don't know. Even though it's probably closer to 4 than 3 right now, but it seems like I start my offer reviews about 3 o'clock every day. Let's get into Kyln. Kyln in-game right now. You can see that it starts in 2 days. And before I read this post about it, and I have some thoughts on the rewards and the way it's going to work, I was able to grab the screenshot from the test server on what the general rules are going to be for it. Squads are made up of only 3 characters. There's no cooldown period for characters after a battle. Basically, every node has different requirements. Well, it's like 3-4 nodes have the same requirements, and then it gets progressively more restrictive, and then eventually it starts having gear tier requirements. But there's no like 1 hour cooldown or anything like that blitz. It's not like blitz at all. Characters' health and abilities persist between battles. So on the first nodes, some of them are very easy. And if you want to go into node XYZ with Super Scrolls Ultimate ready to go, where you can kind of prep that in the earlier nodes and just run basic attacks. Characters can't be healed between battles. Enemy health and ability energy between cells persist between battles. And then completing a cell earns a milestone reward. So basically every level that you complete, there's a milestone. I did have recorded footage from the test server of all the milestones, but my understanding is that they are changing some of them. I will just tell you what some of them were, but we'll get into that in a minute here. Before I do that, here's a preemptive, please need to relax. And I feel like this was a good post. So test footage of Kyln is out. And from the looks of it, the beginning is to be super easy for veteran players. This is true. Dorky said about the first 25 rooms. This is true. These new modes need to be tweaked so all players can enjoy them in some sense, not just in-game players. And the opposite is true. The last couple of nodes are insanely hard, and they have pretty high requirements, which we're going to talk about. New players just need to be tweaked so all players can enjoy them in some sense, not just in-game players. So people think about complaining about it being boring or too easy or whatever. Just relax. Remember that all the people who are mid-game and don't have huge rosters are meant to be fun for all. You have to be really hard levels the higher up. And that is what happens. The nodes get a lot harder, and then they start having restrictions like Global Mystic, Gear Tier 15, Villain Mutant, Gear Tier 16. And then the last 5 nodes is Legendary Gear Tier 18, which is going to be fine for people that have already completed Dark Dimension 6, because that's one of the things that you have to do is upgrade a lot of legendaries to Gear Tier 18. The last ones are a little different. Villain Bio at Gear Tier 18. So these are going to be designed around Super Scroll. And the question that I believe will be answered sooner than later is, who are the other 2 to take with Super Scroll? The jury's out. There's been a lot of discussion on whether or not it should be Undying, like Zombie Iron Man and Zombie Juggernaut, or what are the reworks going to look like on Venom and Carnage? And are they going to work well enough with Super Scroll? So stay tuned, right? I'll probably get that information sooner than later. The event will be starting in 2 days. And lastly, I want to talk about some of the rewards. It mentions here that they're going to give out diamond stars on Gambit. In addition to Gambit shards, red stars, and diamonds. And the way that it was set up in the test server is that on level 40, the very last node was a 3 diamond Gambit reward. Somewhere inside of the legendary right here in this Gear Tier 18 for legendary, there was a 2 diamond. And then somewhere, I believe it was 34 on the test server, with the X-Men at Gear Tier 17, there was a 1 diamond Gambit. So it was definitely at the end, 1 diamond, 2 diamond, 3 diamond Gambit towards the end. Is this trash? These for sure. Feel like there's still a lot of use for people on this, but even like myself, I feel like I've been using these on minions and characters I don't play. We got a new event starting right now. Spend Incursion Energy. Is the team assuming all non-spenders will need to spend cores to reach milestone 7 as part of the play? The response from Archangel was, yes, some refreshes will be required, as do all campaign energy events. Looks like you're going to have to spend a little bit. So 800 core days on incursion injury fills should get to the final milestone. And then he says, milestone 7 is the goal for non-spenders. It's the last milestone with milestone points. Okay, there's some clarification. Also, we've got a new strike pass, and the strike pass is a little different. In general, the strike passes have traditionally been better value because they have, on the paid track for $20, they've got 1,000 power cores instead of 500 on the battle pass. Something new in this is now there is, I believe, 110, wow, that's a new number, 110 diamond silver promotion credits. It's so weird to say diamond silver promotion credits because there's dark diamond promotion credits and there's silver diamond promotion credits. So that's enough to take a character from 1 diamond to 2 diamond. What is that worth? I don't know. What was disappointing to me is that, you know, these characters are generally available. Like, you know, she was just recently made farmable. So I'm not super interested in this, right? As far as the characters, it does feel like the passes are becoming more and more about, you know, dark promotion credits in the battle pass one. In the strike pass, maybe it's going to be about these silver diamond promotion credits. I don't know. I haven't made my mind if I want to buy this. I haven't bought it yet. If the characters were more attractive to me, I would have purchased this, but I'm not super thrilled about these characters in general. Let's talk about the changes to the Scourge, and this is going to continue to be a hot topic for a bit now, and I just wanted to answer some questions. Will all players with 7 yellow horsemen not get to compete in Scourges at all? The answer is yes. There are no more leaderboards at all. You don't need 7 yellow star horsemen to unlock Apocalypse. That is true. Everyone complaining about the new horsemen. He said, do you really think they're going to let you farm the event every 2 weeks with super weak teams that you invested nothing into in order to get the second best character in the game, really? Well, this is true, and we talked about this in yesterday's video, but basically you have to take 23 characters, you know, up to what, gear tier 17, blue ISO 5, to get Apocalypse. Now, I think what a lot of the controversy is about is that the characters required on nodes 5 and 10, a lot of them are generally horrible. And I screenshotted this here, and I want to draw attention to that again right here, is that, you know, Morgan Le Fay, Rogue, you know, they have these Web Warriors, Dark Hunters for nodes 5 and 10, Young Avengers, A-Force, Inhumans, Heroes, Garden Ravager. A lot of people are not wanting to do this. I feel like the general feeling is I used to do 500K and they expect me to upgrade teams to 1.35 million to get 200 shards. I just want to point out there is another way of doing this, and I believe it'll work on all of them but Archangel. There is a way of ramping up the difficulty, and it may be different for you. Like, let's say you don't want to upgrade your Web Warriors at all, and you're hitting a wall on the Scourges where you just can't get through the Web Warriors and you don't want to upgrade them. My suggestion is to ramp up the difficulty as high as you can, and just to see what score you would get on the first 4 nodes only. So that might be an option. In the past, there was a way of making it very difficult and getting very far just by doing the first 4 nodes. So just a suggestion, if you have an easy time getting through the first 4 nodes, maybe that's a way of getting a higher score and getting more stars on your horseman. Unfortunately, that's not going to work with Archangel because as you ramp the difficulty up, the thing with Archangel is that the first 2 nodes require minions. And so then you're in a situation where you have to upgrade minions, which may not be the best thing to upgrade. And I did mention this in yesterday's video, is on December 11th, Scopely did relax a lot of the requirements on a lot of the older legendaries. Like if you look at the new requirements for Doc Ock or Jubilee or Star-Lord, or even Nick Fury, they used to have requirements for characters that are not great today. And they relaxed it and they made it more open. And I'm hoping that Scopely will decide to do something like this. It may not be now, Because what I see happening is that these teams right here, so like when I went through and got an Apocalypse, and I just want to say it was hard to do, right? It was just super hard. But Web Warriors had a purpose, and they were useful at that time. And so it didn't feel as painful at the time when I was unlocking Morgan Le Fay to upgrade my Web Warriors, because I was doing raids with them. Well, that's not the case today. And so now people are not thrilled with the idea of upgrading these characters. And a lot of people were planning on, kind of limping through. And I feel like, and I don't feel like Scopely addressed this very well. Like, if they would have said, hey, there was a loophole where people were not upgrading the characters that we want you to upgrade, and people are going to get Morgan Le Fay at 7 stars over time, and we don't like that. They didn't say that. And they could have communicated that if that was their intent. Because that's the reality of it today, is that, only getting through a little bit of it and getting a little bit every time the event came through is not a reality anymore. Don't know how to move forward. So the Horseman Scourges came back. I have a Red Hulk at 3 stars. All the Horsemans are at 65 of 100, which means I need to hit 425 in the milestones to get 3 stars in the event. I refuse to build these trash, outdated teams. Reasonable objection. That won't help me with anything else in the game. Just about to be DD4. Should I skip all the Apocalypse teams at this point? I don't foresee building all these teams, useless teams, as worth being forklift. My suggestion is, if the first 4 nodes are characters that you like and that you use and that have a purpose outside of unlocking the Horsemen, maybe just focus on the first 4 nodes. There's going to be a path forward, maybe not initially, but maybe long term, on these 3 Horsemen to sidestep these restrictions by just focusing on the first 4 nodes. Not going to be easy, but at least it'll be characters that you might find more agreeable. That's my hope. All right. And I'm just offering a suggestion. Try it. Maybe you'll get a higher star level and that'll be better. Maybe you won't have to 7 yellow Morgan Le Fay or Archangel to get your Apocalypse anyways. Did I miss something, or the Scourge is bugged? I have all of the Horsemen unlocked. I have all the Horsemen unlocked, but none of them is 7 stars, but they tell me I'm not eligible for rank rewards because I supposedly have max stars. There are no more ranked rewards. All the rank rewards, all the leaderboards have been removed. It's just milestones only. And the short answer to the way the milestones, and there are some exceptions, is that if you want to get an unlock, you have to get a high watermark score of 500,000. And then when you get a high watermark score of 700,000, you should have a 4-star, 900,000 for a 5-star, 1.5 million for a 6-star, and a 1.375 for a 7 stars. Now, there's some exceptions to this, but for a lot of people, let's say they have a 6-star Morgan Le Fay, they're going to have to get a score, probably as high as 1.35 to finish off and get a 7-star. Now, it does round down, and maybe there's some exceptions where the milestone below will actually finish off if you get the 7-star Morgan Le Fay, so it might be 1.2. But in general, this is the way that it works now, and I feel like a lot of people don't like that, which I get it. Horseman Scourges are the new mythic legendary. I know that Scourge announcement hasn't gone over well with people in the community. However, I think it helps to view Scourge as the new mythic legendary. In order to unlock Adam Warlock and Omega Red, you need a specific team with certain gear and ISO levels to earn each star. Now, in order to unlock Morgan Le Fay, you need Web Wars at certain gear levels to unlock her and earn higher stars, so on and so forth for the other Horsemen. Yeah, I feel like it's a step back. It'll be easier time to unlock the Horsemen, just as get it easier to unlock Adam Warlock and Omega Red. It'll get easier with time. This is true. Getting gear tier 14 and gear tier 15 on X Factor didn't feel great, but now there's a wealth of orange gear. I just feel like putting G16 in Web Wars doesn't feel like a responsible use of resource at this time, but it eventually get a lot easier. At the time I was unlocking Omega Red, Nick Fury, Winter Soldier were both useless. Both were made integral parts of future raid teams. So yeah, it stunk to invest in them initially, but with the long-term nature of the game, it paid off eventually. And I do think Apocalypse is worth getting. Now, I just want to say this. It is what it is. And if you're looking for solutions, I want to refer you to 2 videos that provide alternate and better ways of getting these characters with a minimum amount of resources. Dorky Dad posted a video today, and largely in this video, he's talking about how to make the most out of the first 4 nodes to get higher scores in the event without going heavily. I believe in this video, he's basically saying people to not even bother with web warriors, and he's providing a path to do well in the event in just the first 4 nodes. Now that may not be an in-game, a mid-game or early game experience today, but for later game players, that might be a reasonable solution. Then also Rage Gaming put out a video, and I just want to read this infographic from Rage Gaming, and there'll be a link to both these videos again. Horseman Scourge events will run every 2 weeks. This is kind of true and not true. I feel like this is probably makes the thing confusing. It really is just always, it runs 5 days out of the 2 weeks, but there's no, you still have to hit a highest watermark to get more resources. And so it runs for the first 5 days of the first 2 weeks. But I believe they really wanted to make it a permanent event, and for some reason, it just didn't work out that way. But in some ways, it is just a permanent event that only works 5 days out of 2 weeks. That's the only way that I can consider, the way I can explain it really is. There is no leaderboards. There's no reset on milestones. It's just basically a permanent event that you can only go in and run 5 days out of a 2 week period. Not need horsemen at 6-7 stars to unlock Apocalypse. Still need to consider that there's 23 characters at G17, T2 Blue 5, level 90, so on. I strongly believe that G15 and 16 will get the job done. And then if you're not a fan of building the required teams, build strong for first 4 nodes typically. The exception is minion on the Death Scourge. Yeah, that idea of just focusing on the first 4 nodes is not going to work on the Archangel. And then lastly, Pathfinder Gaming, I believe, was suggesting is why not make the horseman teams work in nodes 5 and 10, and so that these requirements right here are expanded to be horsemen. I think this is a great idea. You're having to upgrade the horseman team to get Apocalypse. Why not use them in the event on nodes 5 and 10? I just think that's a great idea. Do you think that's a good idea? I'm sure I'm not thinking of everything on this situation, but I just know that a lot of people are upset. And I'm just trying to provide some resources so that maybe you can get a better score and get your Apocalypse, right? If you're looking for some Sinister Superior 6, $39 for 50 of these. I think if this lets you take up all 3 of them a star level, that might be worth it. It's still kind of expensive. And then this is kind of a misleading offer. I just wanted to say that 80 for $100 and yeah. And then it says this right here. Take your Extreme X-Men team to 6 yellow stars to unlock all their showcase event difficulties. And then what it's saying is that when you go into that showcase event difficulty because you've took your team to 6 yellow stars, you'll be able to get this. I don't understand what they're trying to say. This is not going to get me to 6 stars. Are you saying for $100 I'll get all this? No! Fix your scam. I feel like this sentence shouldn't be here. This is a factually true sentence, but it has nothing to do with this offer other than this is maybe for some people going to help them get closer to a 6 yellow star. But then if you do get to, there's not even Sunspot in this. There's sunspots that I don't understand. Yeah. Oh, the Sunspot's not even, Scopely, this is garbage. Delete this from the offer. It's confusing. And even though the sentence in itself is factually true, it has nothing to do with the offer and it shouldn't be mentioned there. Don't like it. All right. The video's over. Bye for now.